And now we present the Telltale Heart.
It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. He had the eye of a wolf. A pale blue eye with film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold, and so by degrees. I made up my mind to take the life of the old man, and thus rid myself from the eye forever. Now at this point you fancy me mad and know nothing, but you should have seen how wisely I proceeded with caution, with what foresight I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him, and every night at about midnight I turned the latch of his door and opened it. And then when I had made an opening sufficient for my head, I put in a dark lantern, all closed, so that no light shone out. And then I thrust my head in and moved it slowly, so that I might not disturb the old man's sleep. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. And then, when my head was well in the room, I undid the lantern just so much so that a single thin ray fell upon the boy's eye. And I did this every night just at midnight, but I found the eye was always closed. And so it wasn't possible to do the work. For it was not the old man who vexed me, but his evil eye. And every morning, when the day broke, I went boldly into the chamber and spoke courageously to him, calling him by name in a hearty tone, and inquiring how he has passed the night. So you see, he would have been a very profound old man indeed, to suspect that every night, just at 12, I looked in upon him while he slept. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. A watch's minute hand moves back more quickly than mine did. Never before that night had I felt the extent of my own power, and my sagacity. To think that there was an opening in the door, little by little, and he not even dreamed of my secret deeds or thoughts. He moved on the bed suddenly, as if startled. Now you may think that I drew back, but no. His room was as black as pitch, with a thick darkness, and so I knew that he could not see the opening of the door. I kept pushing on. I had my head in, and was about to open the lantern, when my thumb slipped upon the tin fastening and the old man sprang up in bed, crying out, "Who's there?" I kept quite still and said nothing for a whole hour. I did not hear him lie down. He was sitting up in the bed listening, just as I had done night after night. Presently I heard a silent groan, and I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. It was a low, simple sound that arises from the bottom of the soul when overcharged with awe. I say I knew it well. I knew what the old man felt. I pitied him, although I chuckled at heart. I knew that he had been lying awake ever since the first light fell. And when he had turned in the bed, his fears had been ever since growing upon him. He had been saying to himself, "It's nothing but the wind in the chimney. It is only a mouse crossing the floor, or it is merely a cricket which has made a single chirp." Yes, he had been trying to comfort himself with these suppositions. It was the mournful influence of the unperceived shadow that caused him to feel. Although he neither saw nor heard, I felt the presence of my head within the room. When I had waited a long time, very patiently, without hearing him lie down, I resolved to open a little crevice in the lantern. So I opened it. You cannot imagine how stealthily, until at length a single dim ray of light, like the thread of a spider, shot out from the crevice and fell upon the vulture eye. It was wide open, and I grew furious as I gazed upon it. I saw with perfect distinctness a dull blue eye with hideous veil over it that chilled the very marrow in my bones. But I could see nothing else of the man's face or person, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot. And have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is but over acuteness of the senses? Now I said, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury. Even yet I refrained and kept still. I held the lantern motionless. I tried how steadily I could maintain the ray upon the eye. In meantime, the tattoo of the heart increased. It grew louder and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder every moment. I have told you that I am nervous. And now, for some minutes longer, I refrained and stood still, but the beating grew louder. I thought the heart must burst. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked only once. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed over him. I smiled gaily to find the deed so far done, but for many minutes the heartbeat beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed and examined the corpse. Yes, he was stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment. The night waned, and I worked in silence. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. Then I took up 3 planks from the floor of the chamber and deposited all between the scantling. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out, no blood spot left. When I made an end to these labors, it was 4 o'clock, still dark as midnight. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I went down to open it with a light heart, for what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men, who introduced themselves as officers. A shriek had been heard by the neighbor during the night. A suspicion of foul play information had been lodged at the police office, and the officers had been deputed to search the premises. I smiled, for what had I to fear? The shriek, I said, was my own in a dream. The old man was mentioned. I was absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasures. In enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues. While I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, I placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. The officers were satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was at ease. They sat while I answered cheerily. They chatted of familiar things, but ere long. I felt myself getting pale and wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But they still sat and chatted. The ringing became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling, but it continued and gained definiteness. I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I grew very pale, but I talked more fluently with a heightened voice. I gasped for breath, and yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, but the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key with violent dramatic gestures, but the noise steadily increased. Why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides, as if excited to fury by the observation of men. But the noise steadily increased. Oh God, what could I do? I swung the chair upon which I had been sitting. I grated upon the boards, but the noise arose all over and continually increased. It grew louder, and still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled. It was possible they heard. Not, Almighty God, no, they heard. They suspected. They knew. They were making a mockery of my horror. This I thought, and this I think. But anything was better than this agony. Anything was more tolerable than this derision. I could bear the hypocritical smiles no more. I felt that I must scream or die. And now again, hark louder, 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 louder. Villains, I shrieked, dissemble me no more. I admit the deed, tear up the planks, Hear, hear, is the beating of the